For over 100 years, a slice of the Atlantic Ocean has held a dark and mysterious grip on our imagination. It's an area roughly cornered by Miami, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico. You already know its name: the Bermuda Triangle, the Devil's Triangle. It's become a graveyard for the unexplained, an epicenter of chilling legends where ships and planes are said to just vanish. The stories tell of paranormal forces, government cover-ups, and holes in the very fabric of reality. But what if the biggest secret isn't about what's been lost, but what's been found? We've dug into the declassified reports and the eyewitness accounts, and the truth they reveal is more shocking than any legend. Because what they don't want you to know is that the mystery you've been sold is a carefully constructed illusion. To understand the lie, first you have to understand the legend. And it's built on stories so powerful and terrifying, they've become modern folklore. It all starts on December 5th, 1945. 5 U.S. Navy Avenger torpedo bombers, a squadron called Flight 19, lift off from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. It's supposed to be a routine training exercise, 14 experienced airmen on a simple 3-hour mission. But hours later, the control tower gets a disturbing message. The flight leader, Lieutenant Charles Taylor, sounds confused, lost, confused. Both my compasses are out, he says. I'm trying to find Fort Lauderdale. I'm sure I'm in the Keys, but I don't know how far down. Panic starts to bleed into the radio chatter. The pilots can't get their bearings. The weather, once clear, is turning nasty. The transcripts are chilling. You can hear the confidence of these trained professionals just dissolving into fear. Everything is wrong. Strange. We can't be sure of any direction. Even the ocean doesn't look as it should. Then silence. 5 military aircraft gone. But the horror wasn't over. A PBM Mariner, a massive rescue plane with a 13-man crew, is sent out to find them. 20 minutes after it takes off, it also blips off the radar. No wreckage, no oil slicks, no survivors. Just gone. That's 6 aircraft and 27 men swallowed by the sky and the sea. This one event cemented the Triangle's horrifying reputation, but it wasn't the first. Go back to March of 1918. The USS Cyclops, a massive Navy cargo ship longer than a football field, is sailing from Barbados to Baltimore with 306 people on board. The Cyclops was a beast, and it had a powerful radio. Yet it vanished without a single SOS, and enormous search found nothing. The ship and every single person on it were just the ship but every single person on it were just every single person. Every single person. Every single 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 but every single sound zone as the single language function 8 senders send a same place and put the center on top of the deciding position begins welcome to do voices with the voice like it. The Austin's captain put a small crew on the empty ship to sail it to port, but a storm separated them, and when they found the ship again days later, it was empty once more. The prize crew had vanished. It's a classic spooky tale, though historians point out there's no real proof it ever actually happened. These are the pillars of the legend, and from them, all the wild theories grew. Time warps, portals to other dimensions, alien abductions. Some people even point to the sunken city of Atlantis, claiming its ancient energy crystals are malfunctioning on the ocean floor, screwing with our tech and pulling ships into a watery grave. This is the story you're meant to believe. A story of cosmic forces and supernatural mysteries. Supernatural mysteries. So, what is really going on out there? For decades, these sensational stories have been hyped up in books, documentaries, and TV shows, each one adding another layer of paint to the myth. But when you start to actually pull at the threads of these famous cases, the whole story of a paranormal mystery starts to unravel into something far more ordinary. See, the real secret of the Bermuda Triangle isn't that some shadowy agency is hiding aliens. The secret they don't want you to know is that the truth just isn't as exciting or as profitable as the legend. cover-up isn't about hiding the supernatural. It's about burying the boring.
Let's start with the biggest secret of all. The Bermuda Triangle doesn't actually exist, not officially anyway. The U.S. Board on Geographic Names doesn't recognize it. The U.S. Coast Guard, the people who actually have to go out and rescue people there, flatly state that the so-called Bermuda Triangle is not a specific geographic area of hazard to ships or planes. The insurance giant Lloyd's of London, which literally calculates risk for a living, doesn't charge higher rates for ships sailing through the area. Why? Because when you look at the numbers, the number of disappearances in the Bermuda Triangle is no greater than in any other heavily traveled, storm-prone part of the ocean. This was the bombshell conclusion from a researcher named Larry Kushabek in 1975. For his book, The Bermuda Triangle Mystery. Solved. He went back to the original sources. Weather reports, newspaper articles, official Navy and Coast Guard records. What he found was that the popular versions of these stories were loaded with mistakes, exaggerations, sometimes things that were just made up. Disappearances that were said to have happened in calm seas actually took place during massive storms. Incidents that were blamed on the triangle sometimes happened hundreds of miles away. Some of the ships that supposedly vanished were never proven to have existed at all. The legend, he concluded, was a manufactured mystery. So if it's not a paranormal vortex, what is it? It's a perfect storm of nature and human nature. First, there's the weather. The triangle is a factory for extreme weather. It's first Atlantic shore for extreme weather. It's where most Atlantic tropical storms and hurricanes pass through. And then you've got the Gulf Stream, which is basically a violent, fast-moving river inside the ocean, creating sudden changes in weather that can catch anyone off guard. Meteorologists have even identified rogue waves, lateral walls of water that can top 100 feet, more than capable of swallowing a huge ship in a blink. In fact, scientists simulating the conditions for the USS Cyclops found a single 50-foot wave would have been enough to flip the top-heavy vessel. Second, the geography. The ocean floor here is brutal. It has some of the deepest trenches on the planet, like the Puerto Rico Trench, which goes down over 27,000 feet. Any wreckage that sinks there is pretty much lost forever. At the same time, the area is full of massive, shallow reefs that were a nightmare for sailors before modern GPS. There's also the theory about methane hydrates. The seabed in this region has huge pockets of trapped methane gas. If that gas erupts, it can suddenly lower the density of the water above it. Any ship passing over at that moment would lose all buoyancy and sink like a stone, leaving no trace. Third, and this is a big one, you have navigational problems and plain old human error. The triangle is one of the few places on Earth where a magnetic compass sometimes points to true north instead of magnetic north. For a pilot today with a screen full of GPS data, that's a fun fact. For a pilot in 1945, in a storm, running low on fuel, it's a fatal distraction. Let's go back to Flight 19. The leader, Lieutenant Taylor, wrongly believed his compasses were broken and that he was over the Florida Keys. Based on that one critical mistake, he flew his squadron further out into the Atlantic, thinking he was heading for the mainland. The other pilots were trainees. They trusted their leader. It wasn't a time warp that doomed them. It was a chain reaction of human error. Bad weather, and a known navigational quirk. And the USS Cyclops. The ship was overloaded with manganese ore, cargo way more unstable than the coal it was built to carry. Reports show that before its last voyage, it already had a cracked engine cylinder and known structural problems. The leading theory is that the unstable, overloaded ship got caught in a sudden storm, simply snapped in two, then sank almost instantly. That would explain why there was no SOS. We've peeled back the layers of legend and found a reality based on science and simple probability. But what do you think? Is there still something more to the story? Let us know your theories down in the comments. And if you appreciate us digging for the truth, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss an investigation. The real secret of the Bermuda Triangle isn't what they don't want you to know. It's what you were never told. The simple truth is that the ocean is, and always has been, a dangerous place. That combination of violent weather, crazy geography, and the tragic reality of human error is all you need to explain these disappearances. The legend lives on not because it's true, but because it's a much better story. We're drawn to the unexplained,
A story about a flight crew making a fatal mistake is a tragedy. A story about that same crew getting zapped by aliens is a legend. The they and what they don't want you to know isn't some government agent hiding a UFO in Area 51. It's the storytellers, the myth makers, maybe that little part of all of us that prefers a thrilling mystery over a mundane truth. So the next time you hear a wild story about the Devil's Triangle, ask yourself, are you being told a mystery, or are you being sold one?